Hello and welcome back to whatever episode this might be. I'm going to guess at 3 of this, and we're going to look at the 6th hole. Now, before we start up the timer, we're just going to look at this and then see what 7 is. So we've got a rough idea of what they do, and can talk through things that they might. So 6, I think, is going to be this dogleg right. I think one of the things I'll play with, the trees are very much, as you can see, they are just multi-planted. I'm going to play with the tree line just a little. I think 6, we're going to be hugging the tree line all the way and trying to open up an angle doing that. That's quite typical Parkland sort of style where like you work the ball around the trees and you get a reward for doing so. So I'll have a little think as to what I can do there. And then 7, you play back up onto this ridgeline, and then it's a very flat, I think, approach. Okay, so it's down a little bit, but it's not, yeah, it's quite flat. So we've just gone from mid par 4, but it could potentially be a long approach. We want to think about what it could be. Par 5, and then we're going to go to long par 4 on the back of that. I don't really have any ideas for this one other than that you're getting up to higher ground. I suspect it's not going to be heavily bunkered, but you are hitting across a fairway, so we could do like a diagonal sort of carry potentially and just have the whole fairway running this way. That's always interesting. I don't really know what I'm going to do with the green other than that it's on quite a flat location, which I like, so probably flanking bunkering maybe. Flanking bunkers are like either side. I haven't done that yet, and that would also protect against this tee a little bit more. So yeah, now you get a few more holes in, you have to think a little bit more about what you have done versus what you haven't, but with the type of course we're going for, maybe less of an issue. So, because we're basically saying it's just going to be what it will be. So I'm going to hit the stop timer and we will kick things off. So again, just with ideas at this point in time. So let us see. 5 we've done. We're going to go 6, and we want to get an angle down here. Now I think, yeah, that's a good amount of space, really. I want to allow decent space to work off. Might take the tee back and right just a little. And then if we have the tree line coming out here a little bit more, and the fairway just kind of follows it. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Let's move this cluster just to there. Yeah, that feeling that you really have to hug the inside corner. These two fairways are going to be pretty close, aren't they? That's okay, we can make this work. I feel like I'm going to say that a lot. Move the waypoint in here a little. Let's drop that tee back up. So we're going to have fairway cutting around the corner. I guess part of the question is how much space I want to offer out this way. I don't really mind giving you quite a bit. We were saying if you get to say about here, then you've got a really good look at the green. Green is downhill. So this is where you can see it starts making it a little bit trickier because we're going to get really subtle with some of the angles. Kind of want to cut off a bit more of the corner. Let's clear all of these. Probably want the fairway to be a bit narrower anyway. Let me do that. There we go. That's going to require you to do a decent amount. Probably bring it in much more. How wide is this? Also 30. But this is quite short. We can work some magic with that. Do that. I don't want the fairways to feel like they're right on top of one another, but you do want it to be cozy and like pretty close. So if need be, I can, and the plot boundaries for this are pretty fluid. I don't mind expanding a little to the right of 6 if I need to. But equally, it'd be cool to fit it in based around what we have. I want my constraints really to force ideas, but I'm not averse to playing God and making this a better course if I see something. Yeah, there we go. Right, what we're going to say is if you're down this side of the fairway and have cut off the corner, maybe push it forward a little bit. That could be almost more problematic because you could go through. Do that. So if you cut off the corner and get to about here, we want you to have an angle into the green. You bail out and you're here, we want you not really to. I think for this, some sort of diagonal bunkering would be most interesting. Something like there. Green here. It's a par 5, so absolutely fine for us to be a bit more demand. And have a few more bunkers. You probably only have one here. Of course, the other thing I could do would be to have like bunker short, but with a mound behind it. Where if you've ended up on this side of the fairway, you're kind of able to get around it. Okay, enough of an idea to go with. And this one's going to be quite a narrow green. I say quite narrow. 20 yards is narrow enough. It's enough to make a difference, I think. The most important thing. In terms of our timer, I think I started at 2:07, so I'm 6 minutes in. I've done very little, which is okay. Pretty terrible. Okay, a little bit better. Part of the problem is going to be if I am making narrower fairways, it can be quite hard to actually have those angles really matter. I think it would make sense to go fairway around this bunker. And then maybe we go a drop off this side, so you have to be accurate. Or do we want to just bring it in that way? Probably just want it turning down the hill, really. Of course, the other issue we've got to address is the sight line and what the land is doing, which we can work with. I think we're going to have to raise up this bit. Not much. Lower here. Not crazy moves, but just enough to make it all. I'm wondering whether this is the approach. I like the tee shot I did. Let's rough that bit in. Certainly the sort of tee shot that you would have. on one of these courses. There we go. Get that extra spline point in so it doesn't really cut the base of that. Add some light rough there. See what it looks like. I don't think I hate it. I think I would like it tilting a bit more this way. And build this hill up. And that will help this sight line drop down the other side. Oh, that might affect 4 if I'm not careful. And 4 isn't exactly perfect as is. And let's pop the green down. It's quite a narrow green. I feel like it's getting very narrow here. What about if we just dig the bunker in here? Maybe just have land running in this way. Send out. I like that's basically feeding your ball towards the bunker. Doesn't need to be anything fantastic. I think this will be the, yeah, this will be the way to do it. Move, drop it back to here. Okay, delete that one. I always save before doing any join spline stuff. I've just had so many experiences of it crashing. So ideally it won't, but you never know. If we move this bit out, so many clicks. Forget frustrating this is. Okay, smooth. I think the idea is good enough. Maybe a little bit wonky. And obviously some of the trees need to move. Fine, you can tell they're any placeholder anyway. Yeah, that works nicely. Little double dog leg sort of thing. Secondary surface light rough again, 33. About 12 minutes in. It's a little slow, an idea, but then this one was always going to take a little longer. I think I like this bunker sitting up a bit more. Just sort of obscuring the view if I can. And then this green, we want raised up. And I want like just fall offs all around it really. So like you are hitting this thing or else. Because it's a par 5 and it's reachable. we can have a hill helping us in. We're going to lower this. All of this is rough, as mentioned. We just want the ideas there so that when I come back to it, it all does make sense. And I might play with that green shape as well because it's a bit straightforward. We could angle it a bit more. I like the way it will sit up though. In fact, I wonder whether you just... Yeah, that'll do. And we can come back to this later, but I keep forgetting how to do this. Move, turn. Sometimes all you need is a little bit of sculpting, and that should hopefully open up a nice view down to some of these holes. Okay, I hit save. 14 minutes, which gives us a decent amount of time to get started on. Oh yeah, wait, need a tee box. With this one, I'm thinking like narrow, long tee. And we can take our waypoint inwards just a little. Oh, reduces the yardage a little bit, but there's some interesting stuff there. Okay, 7. Now, we could always move the tee back a little if we needed to. 493. I haven't got a properly long approach yet, other than that R5. I don't mind taking this back touch. I think with this one, I do want to think about green first. I think we want to move just a touch this way, get it out of the way of that tee. So this one needs to be at grade. Kind of like native area stuff here. Maybe that just comes in. I have one bunker here, and that can be like all we do. And that'll work nicely. And I like the idea of drawing the fairway round. I'm just kind of trying to envision where the planting. Now, I did also like the idea of having a fairway that was pretty straight on. We're going to weave the fairway around all of this stuff. And we're going to have a fairway around this green. A little bit. And actually, all I really want to do is draw a pretty straight line here. And that's going to be our fairway. So because we hit over it at an angle, actually we might move. And then I'll just dig in some bunkers along here. So I'll have one here. One there. One there. So it's kind of on you to choose your line based on those. Yep, I like that idea enough that I'm going to save before doing anything more. And we'll rough it in, and I think that will be this episode. Quite nice. These are flying along because I'm not really thinking about them too much. Just that kind of, and you come up with strategy quickly, which Sometimes I find also it does help to force yourself to just go with something rather than obsessing over it forever, which can be very easy to do when, particularly in a designer where we can play God so often, and it's very easy to think, oh, I could just change this or this or this. Before you know it, you've ended up doing nothing. I do obviously need to go back and figure out what I'm doing with bunkers as well. Maybe this one. Perhaps that's all we need. Just 2 down here. Maybe 1 short. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay, so therefore, that way goes here. And allow more fairway out this bit. If you are laying way back, then you really need it. Or you can do that. Okay, let's get that roughed in then. I think my one big thing I still need to think about is exactly how I want to present the bunkers. But for the most part, I think that would be pretty straightforward. Good. Secondary light rough and 33 again. This looks good. Okay. Other things I want to do with this then, I want to have this land just dropping a little bit. Nothing crazy. As you see, you're on the edge of a hillside. Like I want this to feel like you're on this plateau. Yeah. We're going to raise this bunker up a touch. I might build in some gentle mounting around this green just to filter balls on. Nothing crazy. And the green itself filters down this way. Right. Oh. Okay, so let's pause the timer. 2 hours 29, 40 minutes. Okay, so in that time, we have gotten done. I like how this is working around this kind of. You find points that you want to exaggerate, right? So we've got this hillside, which is going to become a focal point. So play up to here. This T plays off it. You play over and around it on this one. Twice, in fact. So like you've got this kind of central congregation area. That's quite nice. And then we're going to hit down. We'll open up over these ones. And obviously some sculpting is needed on this. That'll be where we start with next time. And putting the T's in. But I like the simplicity of how this one sets up. And I think we might exaggerate this fall off down here a little bit more. So then next up, we've got a path 3. 145, I might extend that a touch more. 150 would feel right. And it eats up a little bit of space towards 9. And then 9, which plays down here. And I think I've got an interesting idea for 9. 10's a short 3. Yeah, I'm enjoying how this is going. Hopefully you guys are too. Yeah, 26 minutes or so. It's not a bad episode length. See you soon.